What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nora if you are new, and if you are not, welcome back, y'all. We're gonna jump right into it today because, baby, I'm gonna let you know right up front, this is going to be a long one, so make sure you've got a beverage, grab a little snacky snack, grab your notebook, whatever you're gonna need, because we are back with another episode of The Fashion Corner. And today we are doing a fashion month recap. She's gonna be a long one. I'm gonna do my best to not make her super duper long, but we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. We're gonna cover New York Fashion Week, Paris, and Milan. Candidly, we're not really gonna talk about London because, to be honest with you, I didn't watch many shows from London Fashion Week. There weren't a lot of designers that stuck out to me or I was like really interested in checking on. So I don't really have much to say about London. So of the major fashion weeks, we're gonna talk about Paris, Milan, and New York. We're gonna go through each week and I will share kind of my top shows, things that I saw, trends and themes that I saw, and then we'll also talk through some of my honorable mentions because I tried to keep it to like 2 to 3 shows per week because there are a lot in some of the weeks. I'm not even gonna lie, hint, hint. Paris had a lot of heavy hitters. So I try to keep it to like 2 to 3 shows, and then we'll have some honorable mentions. And then at the end, we're gonna go through some of my favorite looks that I saw from Fashion Month. And starting us off with New York Fashion Week. I always really love New York Fashion Week. I feel like there is constantly a lot of communication and just like chatter going around of people feeling like Fashion Week is dead, New York Fashion Week is blah, 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 it's so boring. It's not elite. It's not like super intimate, you know, everyone has access, the influencers, baby. I just think that's a whole lot of chatter. I think people just like to find things to complain about. Starting us off was Brandon Maxwell. So again, I'm going through my top shows that stuck out to me, and Brandon Maxwell was definitely one. Okay, I have to say, I feel like Brandon Maxwell is a brand, at least for me, that anytime I would hear the name of the brand, I would automatically think about their bags. I have a tendency to forget that they have a really deep bag when it comes to ready to wear, so I was really excited to see this show. Couple things that I would say that really stuck out to me in terms of themes and trends and things that I saw. Lots of feathers, large belts, which is so funny because of course we talked about belts and just cinching of the waist to be a really big trend that we're seeing this current season. Lots of prints too, which I'm not always like a really big print person, but lots of prints. And something that I really loved about honestly all of Brandon Maxwell's collection is that it felt very wearable, which I really love. And that was like something I wrote down in my notes almost immediately, was that it felt wearable. These looked like pieces that you could actually incorporate into your wardrobe and actually intertwine into a lot of your looks. Another item that really stuck out to me on the runway were their bags, and specifically these newspaper bags. Like they were giving you rolled up a newspaper and like attached it or like had it under your arm while also holding, you know, a clutch or a purse. But Brandon actually put it, I guess, like attached to the bag. I loved it. I loved it. And I think it just made so much sense for the brand to be showcasing, obviously at New York Fashion Week. I just thought with that newspaper touch, it was really fun. Second show of New York Fashion Week that I absolutely loved was Michael Kors, okay? Michael Kors, and I smile and chuckle so much about Michael Kors because let me tell y'all, something about the internet loves to badger people who wear Michael Kors, and there is just this like common thread of like Michael Kors being tacky, and I feel like the real ones who know, okay, the real fashion lovers, the real fashion girlies and guys that know, Michael Kors is way more than that logo little like top handle tote that you all see at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Everything about this collection made me feel like I wanted to pack this up and go on like a vacation to like Morocco. Lots of flowy and lightweight materials. So you saw a lot of beautiful like breathable knits, which I really love. Tons of fringe, which of course a trend we're seeing right now, but something that they carried into their next collection for spring and summer. Again, very tonal. So I feel like the entire collection for the most part was in those neutral, rich brown hues and tones. So I feel like this is a collection that's really good for someone who loves a capsule wardrobe. Great suits, okay? Great suits. And I love the fact that a lot of them were oversized, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more slouchy, which again, I think is perfect for spring and summer. And then of course belting. There was a ton of belting, cinching of the waist. They had those really cool long like pendant necklaces, which we're seeing a lot of right now as well. Overall, I loved it. I absolutely love this collection. It gave very like desert chic, Indiana Jones. I loved it. I really did. I really enjoyed this collection, and I feel like this was a perfect collection to like introduce folks to the depth and breadth of Michael Kors. But my third show would have to be Kate. Oh my gosh, Kate, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I am not unfamiliar with Kate. I've never purchased anything from the brand just because, baby, they're expensive, okay? They are expensive. They're up there with the likes of like the Row. So not really in my tax bracket. There's definitely been items and pieces that I like. A lot of Kate really reminds me of almost if you took like the Row and Totem and kind of like had a baby together, you know what I'm saying? So for sure, more of like your quiet luxury, minimal capsule wardrobe type of person. But I find that with this collection, and this is why it's on my list, Kate gave me a little bit of edge. She gave me a little bit of edge, and I feel like this collection spoke to me because that is very much a lot of what my closet looks like and how I like to dress. Again, loved the tailoring here, which I thought was really great. We saw a lot of structured shoulders. I love a good structured shoulder. Okay, baby, y'all know I love me something with a shoulder pad. I like looking like a little linebacker. I think because I have a smaller frame, I really enjoy that look. Tons of textured pieces, again, leather, and that's where I say I think that edginess comes in, where it is a little bit more of a minimal look, a little bit more of like a quiet luxury, simple chic, but I think the leather adds a little bit of edge there, which I really appreciate. Cinched waist, again, we saw a lot of that on Kate. Also loved a lot of the animal print, something else I don't gravitate to often. I really don't. I mean, every now and then if you're gonna see animal print in my collection, it's usually just gonna be in accessories, but they had a lot of animal print. Yes, definitely in accessories as well, but also in their clothing items. I really enjoyed Kate, honestly, and even just the setup of where the actual show was, I think it played into like the cool, moody edginess of it, which I thought was really fun. So, all right, so we are actually going to move on to Milan. Kind of similar to London, but I did at least still want to mention them because one show really stuck out to me. Like one show I have honestly watched several times, really enjoyed. I didn't watch it live, actually the first go around. I saw a runway look that I believe Lori Harvey was wearing. But the one show I did want to mention for Milan is Ferragamo. Ferragamo, oh my gosh, girl, Ferragamo was so good, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll probably include it on screen or maybe even a picture here, but they do have a Black creative director, which was something else that I loved, and just even watching the show, I was like, you killed that, did your biggest one. Again, the tailoring, I loved. The fringe, I love me a good fringe moment. Again, like I have mentioned so many times on my channel, I love pieces in your wardrobe that create movement. I want drama. Lots of bold accessories too, and I also say that's another great way to elevate any of your looks. I'm not even saying that it has to be pieces directly from this brand, but I think accessorizing is always really fun. Something else that I really loved about a lot of their looks was the layering, which I thought was really fun. Of course, cinch waist, again, shocker, gonna sound like a broken record here, but really loved and enjoyed. And then I have to say too, just even the actual like runway itself and the way that it was designed, it was nice because you were really able to kind of see, you know, the looks come down the runway and kind of rotate and curve through, so you could see every single piece. I think all of that really plays into it. I think for some brands it saves them. For some brands, it really adds a really nice touch to the beautiful pieces and garments that they're already showing, and I think Ferragamo was definitely one of those. Now, grab a quick sip of something, grab a little snack, a little bathroom break, because next up we're gonna chat about Paris. Paris was a heavy hitter this year, and I think I read a couple different places, and maybe if I can like add some of that information here on screen, I will. But I think for the fashion councils overall and all of the major fashion cities, they were very strategic about which brands showed at their actual fashion week. So I feel like this year, Paris, we saw a lot of the hero brands. We saw a lot of the major fashion houses, I feel like, showed in Paris. So that's probably why it felt like The biggest one, I think it was ultimately the longest one. Paris was the last week of Fashion Month, but I think ultimately, I think it was the longest one. Tons of shows, jam-packed, and a lot to see. Okay, baby. First up, Dior. Okay, Dior. Dior was super exciting because this was Jonathan Anderson's debut at Dior. If you are not familiar, Jonathan Anderson most recently was at Loewe, also had his name brand, I think eponymous brand after his own name, JW Anderson. Also recently did a really good and cool collaboration with Uniqlo as well, but most folks know him from most recently being the creative director over at Loewe. So this was his debut. One word that literally jumped out to me as I was walking that show was volume. Okay, volume. You had like the super exaggerated skirts. You had the skirts that had like the bows kind of like leaping out from it. You had, I mean, shirts that just looked like he kind of like pumped a little bit of air into them. And I loved it. I loved it. Okay, a couple of his skirts and even like the little mini pleated skirts and the dresses did remind me of, he did a very similar type of pleated mini baby doll dress at Loewe that I thought was stunning, but I loved it. I really did enjoy the volume that you saw there. Lots of pleating, lots of cutouts too, which I thought was really cool. There was this blazer that had this like really cool cutout detail towards the bottom, which I love. But again, that blazer, I think with the strong, you know, shoulders and the buttons and the cinch waist gave me very much Dior. I don't know, for me personally, if you look back to some of their archival pieces, I think it definitely gave Dior. Loved the texture, loved the movement, very like flouncing type of vibe, again with a lot of like the pleated peplum and like mini skirt feels, which I thought was stunning. Overall, I really liked Dior. I thought Dior was really playful. It was youthful. I thought it also had, you know, some pieces with a little bit of edge and personality. And there were a lot of items I felt like in that collection I would definitely wear. Can I afford it? I already know I can't, right? You know what I'm saying? That's not my ministry. That's not my journey. I know that's not for me when it comes to pricing, but I was really excited to see a lot of his items and his pieces. And I think it was a fantastic debut, honestly, for Jonathan Anderson. Next show for Paris Fashion Week, and I can't even lie, can't even believe I'm talking about them. I can't even believe it because I feel like this brand, you know, has kind of been a little controversial. There's been a lot of things going on with this brand, and it's just not one that I really look to. Balenciaga. Balenciaga knocked it out of the park for me. Balenciaga, for me personally, I thought was stunning. This show I felt like brought Balenciaga back to their rightful place in the fashion world. Demna was the previous creative director at Balenciaga. He is now over at Gucci, but new creative director has stepped into Balenciaga, and I feel like, yes, we have brought Balenciaga back to their rightful glory. Loved this collection. Tons of leather, tons of texture, okay, feathers and florals and embellishments. They had these really gorgeous like pencil skirts that have like the feathers kind of like sticking out, which I love down, okay, love down. Depending on the price point, that's something I will put on my luxury wish list and chase for sure. Great silhouettes that I really loved. This collection felt really chic, really elevated. I loved a lot of the usage of gloves with a lot of the looks as well, which I thought was just like so cool. The drama in a lot of the pieces, like you had a lot of like cape-like, flowy-like pieces that, like, you know, as you walk, it kind of gives, you know, very much Severus Snape. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love it. And I just thought the collection looked good. I like the fact that they played with color a little bit more, because I do feel like Balenciaga as of late was very black and gray and like silvers, which is okay, but I do think it was nice that they played with some color. I loved a lot of the leather crop pieces, again with the skirts. I just thought this was a stunning show through and through. Again, another one that I would say felt very wearable. Honestly, I know some people might not agree with that, but to me, it felt very wearable and definitely a lot of items and pieces that I loved. So I strategically did this here because the last two shows we're gonna talk about were, I think, the best shows out of Paris Fashion Week. And I'm even gonna go on a limb to say, at least for me, they were my top 2 favorite shows of Fashion Month, okay? And first up is Bottega. Yeah, Bottega, mother loving Bottega, okay? Louise Trotter, you don't know me, but I am now very much well aware of you. You are a mother-loving genius. It felt very Bottega, but it felt fresh, it felt new, okay? You had, again, lots of movement, lots of texture, which I think are two things that are so true to Bottega's core. Of course, you know, when you think about their intrecciato weaving, when you think about a lot of their leather pieces, Bottega, you definitely think about their texture, which I love. Intricate was something that I kept saying. Just looking at the details of a lot of the fabrics and materials that they use, I'm just like, Bottega is just so genius in their intricacy of their materials. Classic, but definitely giving statement, right? Okay, so you're looking at like button-up shirts that look like it should be cotton, but it's leather. You're looking at beautiful like handkerchief bandanas that are wrapped around the neck, but it's in that intrecciato weaving. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at these like feather pieces, but when you pulled apart the feather, there was a little bit more of that leather detail underneath. The intricacy of these pieces just was absolutely stunning. Bags galore, baby. The bags ate down, and it was a bag for everyone. You got a leather bag, you got a fringe bag, you got a feather bag, you got bags that you can kind of hold like at the handle, clutches. Then she had these like, I think they said they're like fiberglass, if I'm not mistaken, but like a fiberglass that's not harmful to like the fiberglass that we normally think about. But she had these fiberglass pieces, okay? She had them in like an orange top. I think there was a white and another color, I can't remember. And then she did it in a skirt as well, but then paired it with just like a super simple sweater. Gagged, okay? I think everything about this collection, playing with the colors, playing with the movement, playing with the volume, was a 12 out of 10. Honestly, I think Louise Trotter did a phenomenal job. Again, probably one of my favorite debuts that I saw from a new creative director stepping in. She was phenomenal. I genuinely loved every single piece, honestly, I think from that collection that came down the runway. Trying to remember in my head and like even go through my notes. I don't think there was a piece, at least for me, that I didn't enjoy and like. So Bottega, top two. I don't know if I would say even number two, but top two shows for me. Definitely out of Paris Fashion Week and definitely for Fashion Month. And last but certainly not least, when talking about my favorite shows, this should come as no surprise. Or maybe it is a surprise, because obviously if you didn't pay attention to any of the shows, you have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. Chanel. 10 out of 10, my top show of Fashion Month, period. For me, okay? I know, lots of controversy already going around with Chanel, but I freaking loved it, okay? And it wasn't on purpose, but it's so funny that, again, I talk about the Chanel runway show right after Bottega. Mathieu Blasi was the creative director over at Bottega prior. So again, lots of moving parts here, but they had the show at the Grand Palais in Paris, which I believe is actually a location and venue where they've held the show before. So loved the venue right out the gate. And then it was pretty much like a big ass solar system, okay? So I was like, oh, okay, out of this world, it's giving new galaxy, new world, new experiences. I was creating all these things in my mind, and then the show started. The show started, and here came the first model with this like cropped blazer jacket, super slouchy trouser pants, but they were sitting like real low on the waist with just like, you know, a blouse underneath. And I said, I'm locked in. It felt Chanel, but it felt modern day Chanel. We want to see a little bit of evolution here, okay? Not to say that you need to completely wipe away the identity of the brand, which I think for me, Mathieu Blasi was really, really good at doing. I think they kept a lot of Chanel's identity in these pieces, but gave it a little oomph. He modernized it. He gave us a little bit more. He gave us more fun. And as much as everybody's sitting here complaining about that it doesn't really feel Chanel, are the same people who have been saying for a while that Chanel has felt boring, because let's all be honest, it has, okay? It has. The bags haven't really been improving. If anything, the quality has been declining. The prices keep going up. Nobody is really moved by Chanel ready to wear that much until this show. And I'm gonna say it, for me at least, I was moved. Am I going to be Chanel's #1 customer? Probably not, because again, I still very much cannot afford anything that they're selling. However, he did it for me, okay? So again, tons of suits, low-rise trousers, the movement, the texture, layering. It, for me, felt like the Coco Chanel vibe for the 2025-2026 woman. And I loved it, okay? I loved it. I loved the play, again, with a lot of the textures. I love the materials. Do some of the pieces not feel everyday wear? Yeah, as most of these brands. You know what I'm saying? Most of these brands are putting out pieces that you're probably not gonna wear every single day just to go grocery shopping. Or maybe you are, right? But like, I think it was fun. It was playful. Some of the items were a little bit like, you know, daring and pushing the envelope there, but I loved it. I loved his take on the Chanel tweed, which I thought was fun. You still got that element, but it felt a little bit more relaxed. Loved a lot of kind of like the flouncy feel of some of the pieces. There was that like see-through mesh black dress that I thought was freaking beautiful with the flower, you know, embellishments on it. There were a lot of items that I loved. The button-up shirts that had a little bit of the jewelry detail on it. And then of course that finale piece, right? That finale piece, I would wear that entire thing. I would wear that entire thing. The top, the skirt, everything. I thought it was absolutely stunning. I loved this show, loved the entire thing. I think it evoked a lot of emotion. I think it got people exciting. It got people talking too, which I think is really, really fun. And of course, I don't know Mathieu Blasi myself, but I'm sure this is what he wanted. He wanted people to see that, yes, I am excited to be at the helm of Chanel and definitely going to keep a lot of its, you know, heritage there, but this is new age Chanel. You know, I am a new person, and I think it was time for me personally. I think it was time, and after 40 years, I'm excited to see something new over at Chanel's. And now let's quickly run through my favorite looks of fashion month. But first up, we've got my girl, Sai De Silva. She is wearing this look for the Altazara show. This was during New York Fashion Week. Love this, baby. Okay, love this. Love the mix of colors here and just like the tones that she played with the grays and the browns, with this chunky, you know, knit sweater that kind of folded over really nicely on the shoulders. And then you've got this maxi A-line kind of like leather skirt with the big belt with like the really dramatic buckle that I love. She did a really gorgeous, like, I think it's like an animal print type of pump pointed toe, and then a super cute, you know, just little like clutch suede little brown joint. I love this. This is just definitely something that I think is super wearable, could definitely wear right now. Second outfit I wanted to mention has to be my girl Janae Naylor. Y'all know, love her down. This was also at New York Fashion Week, and this was for the Brandon Maxwell show. She is actually in Brandon Maxwell all leather. All leather. Love this look down, and I love this look because it is like, it's a fairly covered up look. It's like fairly modest just looking at it, but there was still something really sexy about it that I loved. And then I love how Janae styled it with, you know, the zebra print pouch. I'm pretty sure that's the one from Bottega. Can't remember where the shoes are from. I want to say they're Ferragamo, but I love them as well. Third look for me is going to be from our YouTube icon, Jackie Aina. This is a look for Christopher John Rogers. I don't remember exactly if the actual look is from CJR or if she was just attending the show. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I could add a little bit more details underneath the image photo here, but I loved it. I loved it. Again, y'all know I love a suited moment. I love the fact that it was cinched around the waist and almost kind of gave this like corseted vibe. Love the button details. And then I like that it had this little like lime green stitching detail all around the suit for like a little pop of color, which I just think looks stunning. And then of course with like the updo of the hair, the loose, you know, tousled curls, and then she did like the super platform Kendall Miles shoes. I love this look. I think it looks so gorgeous. There was actually even a shot where she turns around and you can see the skirt is kind of like bustled in the back a little bit. So I believe if she did maybe like unbutton it, I'm not sure if it actually was functional, but I'm sure it can actually go into a train. I think this is gorgeous. It's giving businesswoman chic. You know what I'm saying? Businesswoman runway. Next up is gonna be from Arena Crow. I believe her Instagram is with Crow. She's actually a newer fashion influencer that I started following. Love her fashion, love her home decor, just honestly her taste and style in general. I really enjoyed. So this was a look that she was wearing for Michael Kors. Love the monochromatic feel of this look. I believe this was New York Fashion Week as well. So of course it's like a little bit warmer. I think New York Fashion Week this year was like in the 80s, honestly. So it was pretty nice outside, but I really enjoyed this look. She went for more of your Western fringe kind of details here. So doing the cowboy hat, you've got the fringe bag, the fringe boots, and then of course this really nice kind of like tiered dress, which I thought was really fun. So it was a little bit shorter in the front and then had the longer hemline in the back. Next up, we've got another New York Fashion Week look, and it is Ryan Destiny, okay? Ryan Destiny for Ralph Lauren, and she has been recently getting styled by La Roche. Great match, okay? Another suit moment. Again, y'all know I love suits. Give me a good blazer, give me a good trouser. But what I really enjoyed about these trousers is that they are more of that balloon genie type of pant. Love that. And then they did this super embellished, like, it looked like a bunch of chains just kind of like draping on her turtleneck type of top. I believe it's like a sheer top, and then it has kind of the jewel details underneath and just like draped nicely over on the pants, and then just a classic stunning black pump, hair pulled, you know, behind the ears, beautiful makeup. She looked great. Okay, next up we've got our girl Karen Britchick, or Karen Blanchard, but known on social media as Karen Britchick for COS. Yes, I know we talked about their runway show in another one of my recent videos, but loved her look for that show. Very much gave me Erykah Badu meets June Ambrose with a little bit of like a Pharrell vibe. Loved it. So she had the really large, wide brim, super exaggerated hat with this really cool like brown cropped trench, I think it is. And then she layered a couple other items underneath this. So I think she's got like a blouse or maybe even like a button-up shirt dress underneath with some trousers. I really like this because, again, I love the way that she played with layering items. All of them could be stripped away and kind of create their own look as well. But I really, really appreciate the way that she was able to put this together. I really like the way she accessorizes. She just looks so freaking cool. You know what I'm saying? She looks so cool. And outfits like this just give effortless, but you can tell someone who is super confident in their style. So I loved this look. Next up we have Anne Hathaway. Oh my god, y'all know I love my girl Anne Hathaway. Okay, that is one of my favorite unproblematic white women out there. I love her. Love the look that she put on for Balenciaga. I thought this was so fun, and again, I felt like this really encapsulated what we saw from Balenciaga on the runway. So she's got the wide leg, high-waisted black trousers, she's got the pointed toe, she's got the black gloves, really cool glasses, but then she's got this like Balenciaga graphic tee, but then also had the super dramatic like cape detail of it in the back. I loved it. I would wear this. I would wear this literally tomorrow. I would wear this, no hesitation. So absolutely love that look as well. And then the last two looks, believe it or not, are actually from Dior. First Dior look is from Jenna Ortega. She is in this like really cool military vest jacket. Definitely Dior. Even gave me a little bit of like a Balmain feel, which I really love. Love the way this looked on her. And I like the fact that she paired it with a denim mini skirt. It just looks youthful. It looks playful. I feel like it fits her really well. She did it just with like a classic like black pump. I think just like some Louboutins on the feet. But I love this with the aviators, the tousled hair. She just looked fun. She looked grungy. She looked edgy. She looked like a badass girl. And then my last, but certainly not least, celebrity influencer look, if you will, from Fashion Month is gonna be my girl, Tracee Ellis Ross, okay? Tracee Ellis Ross, she had a ton of looks that I loved, but this look from Dior, I love. She was actually wearing pieces from the new collection from the runway. So she's got this green blazer. I need this blazer. They actually showed this on the men's runway show, but of course tailored it a little bit differently here for the women's collection, but love that. Love these like cargo shorts. Again though, are super exaggerated and kind of like balloon out and bunch on the back. I thought the look was so damn good. So damn good. She just looks so cool. I really like those shorts. They actually made this also in like a mini skirt, cargo skirt type of feel. I'm actually really on the hunt for that skirt, but I love the shorts detail as well. Love and before we wrap up this long-winded video, because I know y'all have been staying in here with me for a long time, quickly just wanted to mention a couple of my honorable mention shows. I would definitely say 3 other shows that were like super close to making it on like my top list for Fashion Month would for sure have to be Celine, Alaya, and Saint Laurent. Loved all of those shows as well. I think there were a lot of elements from all of them that I really enjoyed, a lot of pieces from all of them that I really liked. Celine, I would definitely say of all of the 3 of the honorable mention, had the most wearable items for me. Saint Laurent, loved as always just the boldness of the Saint Laurent woman. So love the oversized glasses, love the pencil skirts. I loved like the 80s feel of that just entire show. And then of course Alaya. Y'all know I love Alaya. I can't afford that girl neither. But there were definitely a ton of pieces from there as well. Some that I could pass on, which was why I said she was an honorable mention. Some that I was kind of like, what's going on here? But then there were other pieces that I was just like, oh, this is an Alaya moment that I can get behind. So those 3 would be my honorable mentions. that is all I've got for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking in there with me, hanging out. I know this was a long one, but I wanted to really get a chance to chat about Fashion Month. I feel like I don't really get a chance to just kind of talk with you all about fashion. We're constantly just talking about like shit you need to buy, which is cool and all, but I think for some of us who genuinely just love clothes and just love fashion and style and like to see the creativeness of it and just see the artistic side of things, it was fun to just kind of sit here and chat. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you'd be interested in us doing this for the next Fashion Month season. And other than that, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.